At the very tip of Africa lies iThemba Laboratory for Accelerator-Based Science, the largest accelerator facility in the Southern Hemisphere and the only cyclotron facility on the African continent. iThemba Labs offers unique research capabilities to local and international researchers. The Cape Town facility also produces radiopharmaceuticals for the diagnosis and treatment of cancer. iThemba Labs is where science comes to life, where real people are using science in various ways to impact the lives of every South African. Visit their Facebook page, iThemba Labs Cape, or email director at tlabs.ac.za. And on that note, we have a special person on the line. Good afternoon, Dr. Elena Lawrie.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing this lovely day?
Thanks very much. I'm doing very fine, and thanks for having me.
Dr. Lawrie, you are the nuclear research, you do nuclear research at Helderberg, is that true?
Correct, at iThemba Labs.
So just tell us a little bit about what it is exactly you do.
Well, at iThemba Labs, we're doing basic research in nuclear physics. So that means that we want to study what is inside the nuclei.
I can imagine that it must be hard to explain something so deep in normal terms.
Yes. In fact, what we do is we accelerate a nucleus up to very high speeds. We give it a lot of energy, up to 50% of the speed of light. And then we collide two nuclei together, and that means that there's this very violent interaction. And then we record what happens. We look at all the radiation that is emitted, and based on that, we try to understand what is happening inside the nuclei. It actually turns out that through this collision, this is one of the very few, almost none, ways that the nature has given us to actually have a glance inside the nuclei and their world. And their world is very different from ours, so it's really hard to understand how they...
Amazing. We had a nice chat last week to another scientist from iThemba Labs, Dr. Gillian, and he also had some interesting things to share. But in your opinion, we are living in a world driven by technology. Is there room for basic science?
Basic science is like investment long in the future, really long future, because if you ask me what I'm doing today, how we can apply it, yes, I probably would say, I don't know, this is basic science. But if you ask that same question to Marie Curie, and you ask her, what does it matter that you see there that the photoplugs are, and she would say the same thing. She would say, I don't know. But 50 years later, we know that this was caused because of the decay of the nuclei. And studying it further, we can now apply it. We can build nuclear power station. We can make nuclear medicine. And now it became part of our everyday life. But that is 50 years later.
Amazing.
Or actually more than that.
Amazing. And Dr. Elena, tell us, how did you come to be a researcher in nuclear physics?
Well, I grew up in a small country in Eastern Europe, in Bulgaria, and people there are kind of very much like here in South Africa. They think that some jobs are for boys and some jobs are for girls, and physics is definitely not for girls. So, but I had a grandfather who really loved science, and he was subscribing to popular science magazines. And already as a child at school, he was really teasing me to solve some maths and logical problems, these puzzles that they put in the magazine. And there was this science fiction stories, and there were lots of pictures on the universe. And that was the first time when I was really kind of mind-boggling about how large the universe is and how far everything is from each other. And then in this void, there was just this elementary particles that were traveling, and these elementary particles turn out they don't really know about our world. They live in a world of their own, completely different rules, the quantum mechanics things. And already at that stage, just like that, I really was impressed, not just impressed, I was absolutely overwhelmed with and fascinated with the elementary particles and with their world. So I wanted to study them.
That is a phenomenal story.
Yes, and then I finished primary school, and I wanted to go to a high school where they have more subjects on maths and physics, particularly physics. And then my mother said, yes, sure, go for maths, but not for physics, because physics is not for girls. And that was really hard, and I didn't understand it, and I rebelled, and I cried. And that was the biggest war with my mother in our whole life. And it took quite some time before, in fact, at the end, I did register for the physics class in the math school. And after that, step by step, with lots of happy moments, with lots of difficult moments, finally, I actually came to South Africa and staying now in Somerset West, and actually living my childhood dream. I'm now studying that same elementary particles that I was dreaming.
That is amazing. That is amazing, Dr. Elena Lawrie. We are proud to have you here in South Africa, someone that has, well, basically just kept on fighting the good fight in search of her dream, and you finally made it there. What is your advice for young women who want to enter the field of science and research in physics especially?
I know it is difficult. It is hard to go into physics when people believe it's not for girls. But I would say just follow your heart, because, and even if you have to break a taboo, just break it. Go ahead, follow your heart.
That is amazing, and that is so inspiring and well said here on Women's Month. Dr. Elena Lawrie, we're going to wish you a happy Women's Month here from Helderberg FM. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for everything you do in the name of science.
Thank you very much, and have a lovely day.
Have a lovely day, you too. Goodbye.
Goodbye.